All right.
All right, let's get into it, Rob. We're going to stick with the NBA. John Wall takes a buyout. Looks like he gave up $6.5 million. So he out of that $47 million, he's getting about 41 from the Houston Rockets. And he is signing as a free agent with the LA Clippers. The Miami Heat, the Lakers, and the Clippers were all interested, and he chose the Clippers.
What's his connection? Chris, with the Clippers. Is it a teammate or somebody I don't know about?
No, I mean, I guess he thought that was the best chance to win, and I do agree with that. I mean, Miami obviously would have been a decent chance. I'm going to be honest, Rob. I like the Clippers. I like what they're doing. I like John Wall there, but I honestly think he would have had a better chance to make an individual splash with the Lakers. I think if he joins the Lakers, he's the starter. He's penciled in as the starter from day one. And if he, LeBron, and AD are healthy, and now they need to put a lot around those guys. Don't get me wrong. But if they are healthy, Rob, and say they have a pretty good year, much better than last year, make it maybe to the second round of the playoffs or something like that, and John Wall was the starter and played fairly well, he would be included in those that get the credit. Obviously, people will probably give most of it to LeBron and AD, and rightfully so, but John Wall would be viewed as a guy that got a lot of the credit. Now, I'm assuming, of course, that they would release Russell Westbrook if they brought in John Wall. You don't need both.
And maybe that's the reason.
Right,
you
that might have been it. Because you talking about connections, Rob, he's clutch with Rich Paul.
Well, so but that's what I'm saying. So
AD and all those guys.
Right. So maybe that was it. And Vegas has taken notice, Chris, because they've become co-favorites now in Vegas. Not at all the betting houses, but most of them, right, have now made them equal.
Co-favorites with who?
With the Warriors. No, with the Warriors.
Oh, with the Warriors.
Yeah,
okay.
to win the championship. I mean,
where you got them? You've been high on them.
Yeah, I like what they've done.
Been high on them
and you got to look at this, Chris. And we know this. Couple years ago, they were when Kawhi got hurt, they wound up finally making it to the Western Conference Finals, which they had never done in their history. So they get that done last year. I think that they won one play. What did they do last year? I think they lost in the play-in, right?
They didn't even.
They lost in the play-in, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, they had their injuries. But now you're going to get Kawhi Leonard's healthy. I love the coaching job that Ty Lue has done since he got there, Chris. I think if anybody
very good coach.
Wasn't sure he was a good coach and maybe gave LeBron all the credit for what happened in Cleveland. I didn't know he was that good of a coach because he made moves that made a difference. Like even when he sat down Patrick Beverly, took him out of the starting lineup. Like those are the kind of moves where you say this guy's not afraid. Patrick Beverly was a big part of what the Clippers have been doing, and he's like no. And so I like it. I like the move, and I wonder about Wall's thinking in that. Chris, obviously they have a good roster, but where he fits in, and the idea that maybe he feels like I'm still getting paid a ton of money. I could get a chance to get a ring, and then from there you can say I'm going to go somewhere and do my own thing. I think.
Yeah, and look, it could really work out for him. I feel like right now, Rob, when they look at their roster, I'm assuming they've got Reggie Jackson penciled in as a starting point guard.
Who was good for them, who's been very good.
He was good last year, and obviously a couple years ago, he was great in the playoffs. And so that's what I mean. I mean, Terrence Mann is a guy they put in there, brings defense. And so where does Wall fit? I mean, obviously, I'm sure they plan on giving him some playing time, but he'll have to fight for minutes where I don't think he would have with the Lakers. And now, here's how it could work. And he could become a big factor off the bench, right? If they go deep and maybe win it, get to the finals, whatever. Or it's not out of the realm of possibility that he could end up being the starter eventually. So those are how it could work out for him. But let me ask you this, Rob, because you mentioned the odds. Do you have the Clippers as the favorites now to win either the West or the whole shebang?
I do. I like them.
The whole thing.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Wow.
I do. Wow. I like them. And obviously a lot of things have to. We have talked about this team for years, Chris, and injuries, the choke job they had a couple years back with Kawhi and Paul George both playing and stinking up the joint, losing that series. They were up 3-1, an embarrassing series loss that cost Doc Rivers his job. So there's a lot of stuff that has to happen, and we can only talk about what's on paper right now. Do you know what I mean? Because we're not playing any games. So on paper, do I like the roster? Yes. Do I like the coach? Yes. Do I like getting Kawhi back after missing a full year? Yes. I mean, there's a lot of things to like. And I know the Warriors, obviously, you always think the team that just won is going to be there. It's hard to repeat. It's not easy. So that's going them. They're getting a little older. And the competition in the West is Phoenix going to be back, Chris? You know what I mean? Like,
well, looks like they're going to lose DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah. Well, once they didn't sign him, don't you think that was a telltale sign that he wasn't going to be there when they didn't offer him that contract? But I like the Clippers in the West to come out. I really do.
I like the Clippers. I think Golden State should be the favorite. I think they're going to be motivated to repeat. That's one thing. You know, they can, you know how it is, right? You drum up a motivation, especially when you're winning a lot of championships. And for them, obviously, last year, it was let's prove we can win it without KD, even if they won't admit that. And then this year, I think it'll be less. We haven't repeated without KD with this group, you know? And so I think that will be motivation. But beyond that, I just think, Rob, Wiggins is going to be better. Remember what we thought would happen with Anthony Davis? Now it didn't. So you can argue maybe it won't happen with Wiggins, and that's certainly a possibility. But I think Wiggins, Rob, who is a number one talent, I think has the game of a number two. But now he's going to have the confidence. I think his confidence is going to skyrocket after performing as he did on the big stage. So I think he'll be better. I think Klay Thompson will be better. Now
I think he's going the other way. I think.
But it was hard. He was in a tough situation, man. 2 years essentially off, coming back, and once you get in there after a few weeks, you're playing huge games, and he played well. He averaged 19, 20 points, which is what he always averages in the postseason. He's never had a better postseason as far as points per game for the most part, and so has some big game sixes. So I think he'll be better. And then I think Jordan Poole's going to be only getting better, the young kid. And then that's not to mention Kuminga and Moses Moody and all the young guys that they have. And so I think Golden State should be the favorite. I like Milwaukee in the East. I like the Clippers. I think they'll be there. You mentioned it, and you said if Kawhi is healthy. If is the big word, and you're right. We want to go on paper,
right?
But with them, just like with the Nets, it's just like with the Nets. You can't properly, predict something for the Nets without just saying, well, Ben Simmons, is he going to be right mentally? Kyrie, what's he going to be like? And you don't say that. Of course, health is an issue with every team, but I don't think you don't
with
say
these
that.
teams,
right, exactly, and that's the issue. Paul George, Rob, even hasn't been. He played 31 games last year, 54 the year before that, 48 the year before that.
It's mind-boggling, Chris.
Yeah.
It just is. Like we've been covering this league for a long time. I don't remember a stretch like this where just star players. I don't.
It's and hopefully it turns around because you're right. It does mess up the regular season. It's been a part of the playoffs here and there at times. But this year it was really a huge factor. And so hopefully they get this straightened out. Now, the Clippers the best team in the league on paper.
Hey, Chris, since, some of us have to come into work actually, and I know Rob G's getting he just rolls his eyes at me all the time because I need so much help. Can you log me in? Can you do this? Can you help me look with the calls? Can you, Rob G wants extra money because he's like, this dude is like an infant, okay? Next thing you know, he'll want me to change him. No?
Hey, if he gets extra money, I get extra money.
Yeah, there you go.
I work with you every day, just like him.
All right, let's do it. 877-99 on Fox. Sam in Indiana, you're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What up, Sam?
What up, Rob? What up, Chris?
What's up, man?
Hey, I got to roll with Rob on this. I like the versatility with the two-way players that they have with the Clippers, and they can go small and still really play tough. You put Marcus Morris at the center and then run your two-way players all the way down. I really look for Terrence Mann to really have a breakout season this year.
And you remember a couple years ago, he was big in that play. Remember that big playoff game, Terrence?
Oh yeah,
Mann?
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's why, like I said, I mean, he's gonna get a lot of minutes, especially for defense.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm wondering about Wall.
And they are long, Chris, and they could defend the perimeter. I mean, they got a lot of stuff. Hey, Sam, thanks for that call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Robert in Georgia. You're in the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What up, Robert?
What's going on, Chris and Rob? What's going on, fellas?
What's up, man?
What's up, brother?
Where you been?
I've been listening, man. I've just been listening just listening.
All right, as long as we got you. Oh, all right, we got to keep your support. You know that.
Nah, yeah, I've been listening.
All right,
clocking in. But yeah, I wanted to say, I definitely think the Warriors should be the favorite. But I kind of wanted to go a little different. I do think John Wall made the right choice of going to the Clippers because the Lakers would have been just another disaster just because he'd have been another Russell Westbrook. He got to play off of LeBron. He can't really shoot that well like Russell. And they would third person always gets the blame when you play with LeBron. So I think for his career, he made the right choice because he'd already been missing for 2 years. So people really want to see him produce.
That's a good point.
I think they would have put the ball in his hands. Just like they put it, let's be honest, they put it in Russell's hands. And I think he's a better true point, even though he's not really a true point guard, but he's a better, he's a better decision maker, and shooter than Russ. I mean, he is not a great shooter.
Did you see Russ on social media singing? What was it? What was that song, Rob G? You can't. Was that Beyonce? You can't take my soul. Is that what it was?
Really?
Was that it, Rob G? No, but
he was in a great mood because he just got $47 million more.
No, I mean, I would
look. You know what I've seen is Russell going at Skip, and Kyrie going at Stephen A. They're going back and forth, just like Russ and Skip. So that's interesting.
I just shake my head. All right, Dennis.
Don't act like you wouldn't do it.
I wouldn't. I just wouldn't.
Really?
Nah.
If a player went at you like that, you wouldn't.
I wouldn't. I really wouldn't. I'm dead serious. I wouldn't go with that. Dennis in Virginia Beach. They have a right to say whatever they want. I just leave it at that. If they're so worked up, they could call you if they really want to talk to you. I've had players talk to me or call me.
No, they don't want to talk.
No, they don't. They don't. No, you're right. But I'm just saying, Chris, if you have a problem with somebody, you could reach them if you want to. Dennis in Virginia Beach. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio.
Yes, sir, Chris and Rob. Thanks for taking my call. Big fan. I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
And my take is that just like what Rob said, it's hard to repeat. It's so hard to do it,
Yep.
So, but with what they did with the Warriors is very, very mind opener. Because as they were trying to make them healthier, when they were cellar dwellers before, they were just like just last season, but they were building up too at the same time.
Right, with younger players.
You may have the older generation there, the top three, the big three, but those up and coming, the role players right now. There are players to really watch out for,
and they'll be able to rest the older guys during the regular season. So it's going to be interesting next year with the Warriors. But like you said, Rob, the West is tough. I think Dallas is going to be better.
Yeah, no, the West
even if they lose Brunson,
Chris, when you think about the West and the players and the teams there. And then remember, the Lakers weren't even in the mix a year ago. And you're going to add them to the mix. They can't be.
And
they
the
can't
East
play
is
as
good too. Like
right.
the league, you got about I'm just going off the top of my head. You got roughly 10 teams that you like. You know what I mean? That are kind of similar in the mix. So it's good. Yeah.